Welcome once again to Hilltop Stovetop, the show where we teach you how to make fabulous meals in an everyday, ordinary kitchen. Today we're going to be talking about the side dishes for your holiday meal. And now this is assuming that you haven't been able to persuade other people to bring things along, but if you are making the full meal, a couple of easy things to do are to make a salad, or some frozen vegetables, or which you can get some fancy mixtures of things. But what I'm going to teach you how to do today is to make some traditional holiday kind of favorites, but with a new twist to them. We're going to start off with ordinary turnips, or some people call them Swedes, some people call them rutabagas. But we're going to cook them in apple cider and spice them with Garam Marsala, which is an Indian spice mixture which is full of cinnamon and very holiday kind of smells to it. The literal translation for Garam Marsala is warm spice, and it really does add a wonderful touch to something in the wintertime. And then the second thing that we're going to do is to make good old Brussels sprouts, but again with a twist. There'll be Brussels sprouts with bacon, which is traditional, but I'm going to add a little Caesar dressing and parmesan cheese and bake it up in a little casserole. So that's where we're going to start today. So this is probably the toughest part about what we're going to do today, and that's getting your turnip ready for cooking. Now you'll notice them when they come in the store, they're all covered with a waxy coating, and that is just what it is. It's wax, and it's a very traditional way of preserving root vegetables. If they didn't do that, these things would get pretty mushy pretty fast. So it's a good thing, but on the other hand, we have to get rid of that before we cook it. So the first thing is we're dealing with something that, this one's a little lopsided, but basically it's something round, and it's something that's very hard to cut. So the first thing you want to do is to take your big knife, keeping your fingers well out of the way, and start with a little slice down one side so that we're getting a flat surface. Right there, we've got a flat surface. And now when we set that down, we've got a little more stability to it. And then we're going to cut a bigger piece. And if you just bang, keeping your fingers out of the way, of course, give it a good bang, then we've got another chunk off, and then so on. So we've got an even more stable surface, so that if we go right down the middle with this, then keeping our fingers out of the way, it's tempting, but don't do it. There. So now we've got much more manageable pieces. So then all you do is put that down and just start shaving off. And you need a good sturdy knife with this. This isn't a job for a potato peeler. And we're going to make some big noises as we do this. But just peeling off that edge, it's all you have to do. Some little bit left over. Okay, so there's one piece. Sure that this noises. There we go. And last one. And there's going to be thick and thin to this peeling that's coming off, but this is, in my mind, the easiest way to do it. All done. Now we're going to take each one of these, again using the flat of our hand, and this is something that after it's cooked we are going to mash it, so we're not worried about pieces being pretty, but the smaller the pieces are, the faster it's going to cook. So we've got pieces that are about that size. And also adding more surface area leaves more space for the apple cider to fit or to get in to flavor things. Just checking out what's happening. Oh. Nope, didn't land on the floor. That was, I don't think she really likes turnips anyway. Turnips are one of those things that can become a little bit of a joke in a family that, you know, you'll often only cook them for holiday dinners and nobody can remember why. It's just one of those traditional dishes that you figure you have to have it for the holiday until something comes along to change that tradition. And maybe this is something that's going to change it so that people will actually like them. So the next thing we've got here is some cold pressed sweet apple cider. This is non-alcoholic stuff. You can usually get this in the produce section of your store. Make sure you give it a good shake. It's not the same as apple juice. This has got, you know, there's fibers in this that that we need to shake up. And we'll give that a good open. And there we go. And we're just going to pour enough. I should put this under the camera a little bit. We're going to pour in just enough to cover that. And then we're going to put that onto the stove, put the lid on it, and boil that until they're soft enough to mash. And what I'm going to do here, and maybe some of you have noticed these funny little men on my windowsill. I'm going to pop that in there. These were a wonderful gift. And here we go. We're ready to do our turnips. So all of that apple cider has now reduced down. It didn't actually absorb too much into the turnips themselves, but it's boiled away. So it's a nice appley coating to these turnips. And they've turned a nice kind of golden color. You really want to watch that carefully when you're cooking them, because I boiled it right down. If I'd turned my back on that for too long, we would have ended up burning it. But now they're nice and relatively soft, so we're going to mash them up. And this is just an old-fashioned manual potato masher. If you have a stick blender or something like that, you can certainly use that for mashing them. And they're not as easy to mash as a potato is when they get like this, but it is doing the job. And then we're going to take our Garam Marsala, it's called, and I'll put a little note about that into the memo at the bottom. All right, and then the next thing we're going to start getting ready are the Brussels sprouts. Now I've just bought frozen Brussels sprouts. In the fall you can usually find fresh ones, but you've got to clean them and peel them and pare them. Frozen is way easier. So we're going to slice this open, and something deep that pour here a few into this lovely casserole dish. This is a Pampered Chef casserole dish, and I use this one a lot. Just put in enough to cover the bottom of the pan. So depending on how many people you have for dinner, you may need a bigger pan, of course more Brussels sprouts. But usually with holiday dinners, you've got so many side dishes, you don't need big servings of each. You just need a taste of each thing. So we take that. Next thing we've got are some bacon crumbles. This is real bacon that's already been pre-ground. And if you don't have this, you can use just actual bacon and cut it up. But I'm just going to take that and sprinkle a generous, oh, I think I'm going to put a couple of handfuls on this. Because everything's better with bacon, right? Okay, so we've got that. Then we take some, you can either use ranch dressing or, in this case I happen to have Caesar dressing, but one of those creamy kind of dressings is what you want to have. And of course, nice fresh bottle that is sealed. And we're just going to pour this over the top. This is a small sized bottle, so we're probably going to put the whole thing on there. And then the last thing we're going to do is back to our friend the Parmesan cheese. And we're going to put a good topping of Parmesan cheese in my maybe I should have had the there, it helps when you don't have a big chunk of it in the middle. There. Okay, so now that's all ready to go. So once you've got all these side dishes ready to go, just sitting beside the oven, once you take your turkey out and it's resting, these can be ready to be popped right in. This will take maybe half an hour to bake through and get all bubbly. And that's another piece of your prep work that you can have ready ahead of time. You could even do it like this much ahead of time, cover it up and put it in the fridge overnight if you wanted to do it the day before. Okay, there you go. So now those are reasonably well mashed. We're going to take our Garam Marsala, and you can get this at most bulk spice type places. And I'm just going to have to, they tape this shut so well. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take about, I'm going to say a generous tablespoon of this, about that much, pop it in there. I am also going to add some butter to this, maybe a little bit more butter than that. Can't have Thanksgiving or Christmas without lots of butter involved here. That'll just add to the creaminess of the texture. This. And mash that all up. And at this point, because our turkey's not quite ready yet, but this stuff is. And again, you want to try to get as many of your side dishes ready ahead of time. This you could put in a little casserole dish to warm up later. Or if you've got a crock pot or something like that, you could put it in the crock pot just to keep it warm until your dinner is ready. And I'm just going to have a quick little taste here. And make sure I've got my spices right. Wonderful. Okay. There it is. Coco. There's our beautiful Brussels sprouts with the Parmesan cheese and the Caesar dressing. It smells great. There's crispy bacon in there. Doesn't get much better than that. This is the turnips with apple cider and Garam Marsala, which is a lovely warm winter spice. So I just like to say thank you very much for watching again. And we want to welcome you back to Hilltop Stovetop. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if there is a side dish that you particularly like for your holiday dinner, put it in the comments. And if it's something that we all want to learn about, maybe we can make another episode down the road about that. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.